Lupe from My 600-Pound Life, Season 4, Episode 13 that premiered in 2016. She's 39 years old, living in California with her husband Gilbert. She says that everything hurts. She thinks her body is actively shutting down. She has diabetes, some other conditions, and she's really concerned about how much time she has left. A while back, she was in a diabetic coma, and the weight around her neck was too much and was actually suffocating her, so they had to do a tracheotomy on her. She's been mostly bedbound for the last 10 years, and her husband is her full-time caregiver. When she was around 5 years old, her father left, and at that time is when she started eating to cope with everything. And by the age of 6, she was over 100 pounds. Her mother then had a nervous breakdown. She tried to take her own life, and she turned to substances and eventually went to prison. So Lupe and her sisters had to go live with her grandparents. And by the time she was 14, she was 400 pounds. Shortly after that, her grandmother did sadly pass away, and Lupe ended up dropping out of school. By the time she was in her late 20s, she was over 500 pounds. She was doing some online dating. She meets Gilbert. She catfished him a little bit and said, I'm only like 200 pounds. And then she eventually sends him a photo and she's like, I'm not 200 pounds. But he'd already started falling in love with her. So he was like, it's okay. Gilbert is definitely her enabler. However, if he won't bring her the food, she'll just like call up a cousin or a sister or something and they will bring her over the food. They're going to make the drive down to Houston, Texas, pack up the house, and so the family has like a farewell dinner for her. It is about a 3-day car ride from where she is in California to Houston, Texas. It's very difficult, not only getting her in and out of the vehicle, but also every time she needs to use the restroom, hotels, etc. So it's just a very long, hard trip. They're nearly in Houston, Texas, and her husband Gilbert calls up Dr. Now, is like, hey, she's in like a lot of pain. And Dr. Now says, go right to the hospital, I'll meet you there. Dr. Now checks her in. She officially starts her month 1 journey. And he says, honestly, if you didn't come now, I don't know if you would have lasted another month. Lupe is 5 foot 5 inches tall. She should be around 180 pounds, but she is currently 642 pounds. He's going to admit her to the hospital so that they can get all of the other tests looking better. And he puts her on a very strict 1,000 calorie, no carb, high protein diet. This is very different from what she's used to, and she is not liking it. Month 2, she's still in the hospital. She is 573 pounds, and that is a recent weight loss of 69 pounds. Dr. Now says, I'm comfortable sending you home, but you got to stick to the diet. She gets back home, and basically she thinks that she hurt herself because she is bleeding, and come to find out that because of the diet and because her body was now in a healthier state, it has actually kickstarted her period, and that is what is causing her to bleed, which is something she hadn't had for quite a while. A few days later, it's her birthday, and so they all celebrate. It is now month 3. She had a 50-pound goal to lose on her own at home. She goes into Dr. Now's office. She has to use the restroom, and then there's this scene where she cannot get up off of the toilet, so they have to bring in like some firefighters and EMS and stuff like that to lift her off. She actually ends up like breaking the whole lid off, which is super embarrassing. She's 654 pounds. That means that she has gained 82 pounds. So she is 12 pounds up from her original weight. Dr. Now is concerned, so he sends her back to the hospital. Month 4, she is back in the hospital. She's put on an 800 calorie a day diet, and physical therapy is coming and trying to help her get up and move more. Month 5, she is 527 pounds, and that is a total weight loss of 127 pounds from her newest highest weight. Dr. Now says, I'm sending you home, but in 2 months, I need you to lose 75 pounds. Month 6, they're back at home. They do not have a car, and so Gilbert, in order to go and get groceries, he has to walk quite a distance to get there. It's like over the freeway, through the woods to grandmother's house, you know. And he can only bring back what he can carry, so he can only bring back a few bags at a time. He gets back, they're cooking meals, and then a short period later, she finds out that he is flirting with some women. At first, he says, well, I'm just trying to spread the word of God, and that's the only reason I'm talking to them. And then she eventually coaxes it out of him, and he's like, yeah, I'm frustrated. We're not very physically intimate, so I'm talking to other people. A short while later, they move out of the hotel they've been staying in. They are now living in a home that they're renting, and they have found a car to rent as well. It is month 7, and at this time, Dr. Now does not have a scale that has the handles for her to hold on to, so she's like, I can't stand up and I can't get on the scale. And Dr. Now's like, why don't I have a weight on you? She explains it, and he's like, I'm pretty sure that's not the reason. I think that you gained weight, and that's why you don't want to get weighed. And she explains everything that happened, and she says that I can't walk at home because we have tile floors and they're too slippery. And he's like, why didn't you tell me any of this before? I could have done something to help you. A few days later, Gilbert puts her into the wheelchair. They go out into the garage, and so that she can practice walking on a surface that's a little more steady. 2 weeks later, she comes back to the hospital to get weighed again. She's 439 pounds, which means she has lost a total of 215 pounds. He approves her for weight loss surgery, but he says that your heart isn't healthy enough for us to do the full bypass, so instead we're just going to do the sleeve. It's month 8, she gets her surgery, and she has the sleeve gastrectomy. So shortly after her surgery, she's in recovery. Gilbert is nowhere to be found. He went on an errand. She tries to call him to be like, hey babe, where you at? And when he picks up the phone, he thinks she's this other woman, and he's like, hey baby, wanna come over? So then he gets to the hospital, she confronts him. He's like, yeah, I got caught. I've been talking to other women. I have needs. They get in this big argument, and Lupe is standing up for herself, saying that I don't deserve this. It is month 9. She is 409 pounds. That is a total weight loss of 245 pounds. The relationship between her and her husband really isn't going well. She says she feels worthless and just very hurt by him. In month 10, she is 403 pounds, and that is a total weight loss of 251 pounds. She has this bed sore, so she's admitted to the hospital. Doctor now has to drain it, and she says she's feeling very depressed with everything that's going on between her and her husband. Dr. Now's like, I need you to stand. She's like, I can't stand, and Dr. Now says, then there's nothing more I can do for you. I'm going to send you home. A therapist comes to the house, the couple is there, and they chat about their issues, the cheating, everything like that. She says she feels very hurt and disrespected, and she says, I don't trust him. It is month 11, she's 395 pounds. That is a total weight loss of 259 pounds. Things are a little better between her and her husband. They're cooking together and they're having a good time. Month 12, she is 360 pounds. That is a total weight loss of 294 pounds in 1 year. And Dr. Now says when you get to your goal weight, you are going to need a hip replacement because your hip is now fused. And while she can walk a little bit, her hip is in a lot of pain because it's turned out the wrong way. And so that is a goal to get that surgery. This is her first Where Are They Now episode, which was season 3, episode 1 that premiered in 2017. She's been on her journey for an entire year and 1 month, so this is month 13. She says that she is getting up more, she is doing her upper body exercises, and the physical love life between her and her husband is doing really good. Month 2, her leg is really hurting. She can't put any pressure on her hip. She's 357 pounds, which means she's only lost recently 3 pounds, and that is a total of 297 pounds. And Dr. Now gives her the goal to lose 20 pounds in 1 month. In month 3, she had a pop that happened when she was trying to walk. So she goes to the hospital, they check her out, nothing's wrong, but they have to run a pregnancy test first because she hasn't had her period in a month and she may be pregnant. The test comes back though that she is not pregnant. Month 5, she's walking a lot more. Her husband is helping with her exercises. They're, doing all sorts of things. She's also now helping with some of the meal preparation and the cooking. And then at one point, he's trying to pressure her to drink alcohol. And she's like, no, all I can have is water. No. She's really concerned that he is cheating again and flirting with women. He says that I just want to go out and socially drink. Month 7, her walking has improved a little bit. Her husband brings her flowers, says how proud of her he is. She weighs in at 280 pounds, which is a recent weight loss of 77 pounds, 374 in total. She's approved for skin removal surgery. They do the surgery, and the skin that is removed is 32 pounds. In month 8, she is freshly out of surgery, but Gilbert has needs and he pressures her into being physical. Her stitches are now bleeding, and so she is admitted to the hospital. She's rushed into surgery. Doctor now has to do a bunch of repairs. But before she actually goes to the hospital, she's telling her husband, I need to go to the hospital. I need you to call an ambulance. And he's like, I'm going to get drunk first. This is too much. So he's just there drinking a 40. And telling her, I'm a man, I have needs. She goes to the hospital, and luckily she's okay. In month 10, she has come back from getting her sutures fixed, and he apologizes for what he did. He buys her some new clothes. She's got some cute new stuff. But a few days later, he wakes up, and she is nowhere to be found. She booked out of there in the middle of the night because she found evidence that he had been talking to women again. Month 11, she is living in a hotel for the moment. Her insecurities are getting worse, but her cousin comes from another part of Texas to help her out for a little bit. She has now been on her journey for 2 full years. She is 218 pounds, which is a recent weight loss of 24 pounds, 436 in total. She decides she is going to move to San Antonio, Texas, which is a few hours away from Houston, with her cousin to have a break from her husband. He brings her flowers. He's apologizing. He's like, don't leave. And she's like, I gotta go. We need a break. We're on a break. This is her second Where Are They Now episode. That was season 4, episode 11 that premiered in 2018. She's been on her journey for 2 years and 1 month. She is 219 pounds. That is a total weight loss of 435 pounds from her highest weight. She's living with her cousin. She is more independent. She's able to go to the bathroom by herself, change herself, all sorts of stuff. The next month she is weighed in. She is 240 pounds. That is a recent weight gain of 21 pounds, an overall loss of 414 pounds. Dr. Now's like, I would like you to go back to therapy and figure out whatever's going on and get back on the plan. She decides that she's going to fly back to California to see her family for a little bit. She gets to the airport and her sisters pick her up, and they are just all super emotional seeing their sister. It is month 3, and one of her old friends from like high school or something like that has reached out to her. They reconnected. There's still some flames there. They went out on a date, and they're going out on another date. So in order to prep for the date, she's getting her nails done with her sister and like some cousins and stuff. She opens up about her and her husband that are now separated, saying that he got very physical with her, all the things that he said to her, and that the kind of the last straw was that he spit in her face. It is month 5. Andrew is now her boyfriend. They decide to pack up and move to Houston, Texas together so that she can continue the program. She called up her ex and she's like, hey, we're done. I'm filing for divorce. I'm going to move back to Texas, get out of the house. And he kind of destroys the house that they're moving back into. It is month 6. She is 238 pounds. That is a recent weight loss of 2 pounds, 416 from her highest. Dr. Now says, why didn't you go to therapy? And she's like, I don't really have anything else I need to work out. Dr. Now schedules her an appointment with an orthopedic surgeon so that they can talk about her hip replacement. Month 7, she is 227 pounds, a recent weight loss of 11 pounds, 427 in total. The doctor kind of like outlines what's going on with her hip, that like the socket is up too high and it's twisted and it's like fused together because she was bedbound for so long. And she says, when you get to 180 pounds and your BMI is below 30, we will do your surgery. It's month 8. She says that she's kind of fallen off the program. She's gained a little weight. She doesn't specify how much. Andrew says, I really need to get back to California. So they go ahead and they pack up and they move back to California together. So what has she been up to since she was on the show? The show stopped filming in around 2017 and it aired in 2018. That was her second Where Are They Now? And in 2019, very sadly, her boyfriend Andrew did pass away from kidney disease. And honestly, since then, there really hasn't been anything else on her social media. She was posting pretty regularly. She was putting up some selfies and stuff like that. She looked around the same weight at that time. She was like replying to comments and everything. But then after his passing, there just kind of honestly has not been a single thing. Her social media does say that she still lives in California and that she is currently single. I did hear a rumor that she is living in some kind of like assisted living. It sounds like she did not end up getting the hip surgery. I didn't look too closely into Gilbert because it wasn't his journey. It wasn't really his story. But he did pop up on another episode of someone else's My 600-Pound Life. One of the participants, Katrina, she shows up to Dr. Now's office one day in her Where Are They Now episode. And Dr. Now's like, hey, you look a little familiar. So the two of them were dating at some point. I don't know if they're still dating. I don't know. I didn't really look into them. Maybe when it comes time for her episode, he will pop up if they're still together. So unfortunately, I'm not entirely sure how Lupe is doing today, but I really give her applause for leaving that situation and for putting herself first. I'm happy that she found love and was able to be with Andrew for a short period of time. I wish obviously that it had lasted much longer. I don't know if she's out there looking for love or if she's found any, in the assisted living home or wherever, but I really just hope she is doing great. I hope one day she's able to get the hip surgery and to kind of really start her life and go places that she's never been able to go. But whatever she's up to, I just hope that she is happier and healthier.